Viewers, are we witnessing another global crisis or something even more dangerous? In a move that stunned the world, US President Donald Trump launched what many are calling a de facto invasion of Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were captured and flown out in the middle of the night by US Army's Delta Force. They both are facing drug and weapons charges in New York City courthouse. Now, viewers, Donald Trump, the man who claims to be the peacemaker, has issued warnings to several other countries and territories, including Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, Iran, and Greenland. Remember, this is the same America that accused Russia of violating Ukraine's sovereignty, which is now facing accusations of military overreach. The big question is this the beginning of a new era of regime change politics? Could this embolden China's ambitions in Taiwan? And could Iran be next? In all of this, has Donald Trump just set the stage for a wider global conflict?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us now is John Bolton, former NSA to President Trump. Mr. Bolton, thank you so much for speaking to Times Now. And let me begin by asking you, Donald Trump has carried out what many have called a de facto invasion of Venezuela and kidnapped its president. America believed that Russia violated Ukraine's sovereignty through its invasion in 2022. What about what's happened now?
Well, Ukraine did violate Ukraine's sovereignty, not just in 2022, but in 2014 when it invaded on 2 separate occasions. What happened here, really, history goes back to 2018 and 2019, when Maduro stole the 2018 presidential election and the legitimate president of Venezuela asked for U.S. help in overthrowing Maduro, which unfortunately didn't succeed. If you come forward to 2024, Maduro stole the presidential election in that year, too. And the opposition president, Edmundo Gonzalez, elected because Maria Corina Machado was forbidden by Maduro to run, should have been installed by the observation of all the neutral observers, Venezuelan and international. So again, in 2025, what we had, 2026 actually, what we had was the Venezuelan opposition, the legitimate government, asking for our help in removing an illegitimate government. And I think that is something completely different.
Also, President Trump wanted America to withdraw from Afghanistan, and the overall impression that he sought to convey was that America would not want to get embroiled in conflicts. But isn't that what has exactly happened in Venezuela? And is that a complete opposite, or perhaps a pretense that he was putting on, is a question that now comes to mind. Does Trump have hegemonic ambitions for America, including in military terms, is something that many are now asking.
Well, I think it's a mistake to think about Trump in policy terms or philosophical terms. He doesn't have a philosophy. He doesn't do national security strategy. He doesn't do policy as we understand that word. Everything for him is transactional. Every day is a new day. And it's true, as you say, that he campaigned on ending the endless wars, as he called it, in Afghanistan, in the Middle East, and elsewhere. So I do think many of his supporters were very surprised to learn about what happened on Saturday and are still surprised. Congress is coming back into session today in Washington. So now many people are going to have a chance to talk to their fellow House and Senate members. And it'll be interesting to watch the public opinion polling to see what Trump supporters think of this latest decision that he's made, because it does sound inconsistent with how he campaigned in 2024.
Right, because the point is that many say that this only indicates that in the Russia-Ukraine conflict might only now escalate and not de-escalate from here on. In a way, has Trump only given a license in an indirect way to Russians to further intensify their conflict with Ukraine?
Well, I don't think we can necessarily draw that conclusion, but I think Trump has gotten himself involved in a lot of controversies internationally, again, contrary to what he said he was going to do in his campaign. And how much time he will now have to devote to Ukraine remains to be seen. I think that the failure to make a deal between Russia and Ukraine might, in any event, have prompted Trump just to withdraw from the issue and to say, I'm not going to bother with it anymore. If these parties can't reach agreement, I'm not going to waste any more time on it. It also goes to the political question in the U.S., what his supporters will say because of this enormous amount of activity in international affairs, far more than they expected when they voted for Trump, and still dissatisfied, as many are, with the economic circumstances they face.
Also, Ambassador Bolton, what kind of precedent do you think this sets? Because China has its eyes on Taiwan. Will this only embolden China? Because there are those in America who are now claiming that Iran could be next. Where are we headed?
Well, I think you have to look at the facts of each situation. And I think there was a legitimate reason to overthrow the Maduro regime. I've just paused there to say it has not been overthrown yet. The remainder of the regime without Maduro is still in place. And at least from some comments that people in the administration have made, they may be happy to leave it that way. I think that remains to be seen. But the idea that somehow working with the legitimate opposition in a country like Venezuela to remove an illegitimate government gives any kind of precedent for China attacking Taiwan, Russia attacking Ukraine, is extraordinarily dubious. The situations are very, very different.
Now, the Cold War, was all about Americans and Soviets trying to institute regime change to install leaders in power that would be aligned to their interests. Would it be fair to say that we're not necessarily in the midst of a Cold War anymore, but a clear-cut global race for territorial capture or installation of client regimes?
Well, I don't think that is what the United States wants to do. I don't know what Trump himself wants to do. I think he's an aberration in American politics. And I think many of the things that he's done have caused us enormous problems around the world. In the case of Venezuela, I think we've got a legitimate reason to be concerned about Venezuela being opened up to Russia, China, Cuba, Venezuela, among others, and cause instability in the Western Hemisphere. That was the basis for our concern with the Maduro regime in 2018 and 2019, back in Trump's first term. It's Trump's inability to articulate that rationale, I think, that's causing part of the problem.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bolton, for joining us and speaking to us at this very crucial moment.